The number one way to get shares by far is just news-based content. If you are breaking news in your hyper-local market, that's always what gets the most shares. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the walkthrough. This is the most underrated, valuable marketing show / podcast in real estate history. I am Eric Simon, aka The Machine, because I never stop producing. I never stop posting. I never stop podcasting. I never stop planning. I never stop publishing. And I never stop pitching. What do you think of that, Jason?
It's pretty good. You're like a well-oiled machine, some Elon Musk factory Tesla bot or something like that.
A machine. And you know what? I am joined here by our great co-host, Jigsaw Jason, because he is an architect, a criminal mastermind, building contraptions of torture for agents that say, date the rate, marry the house. Jigsaw, Marie, that's a reference to the movie Saw.
Yeah. You a big Saw fan, Marie? You like that one?
No, never seen it. Not on my
Ryan, have you seen Saw?
Yes, I have. Scary.
Very scary.
Very scary.
My college roommate sophomore year tricked me into going to see Saw 7, and the opening scene is two individuals. They're standing there. There is some sort of scale, and Jigsaw, the mastermind, says you got to fill up the scale, but with your human flesh. So one guy is an obese guy, and he's slicing through his stomach, and then there's a lady. The lady just hacks off her arm at the end.
Heck of a start.
It is psychotic.
Heck of a start to the show.
Exactly. That one commenter.
It's scary. I can feel it. It's going to be a scary one.
All right. We are joined here by two amazing guests. First, we have someone brand new, a powerhouse New York realtor known as the Very Social Broker. He is a master of blending top-tier real estate expertise with standout digital engagement, turning luxury listings into must-see social content. Ladies and gentlemen, from Compass, Ryan Garson.
Wow.
Ryan, how you doing?
You are a machine. That was amazing. What an intro.
What an intro. And finally, we have a fan favorite, maybe the fan favorite. She was a mascot in college. She's a real estate agent today. She is the wonderful, the brilliant, the caffeinated. She drinks coffee and she signs contracts. Marie Lee from Tennessee.
What up, everyone? Hello.
So rhymey. I love that.
Yeah.
What up, Marie? How you doing? It's great to have you back.
Thanks for the warm welcome. I appreciate that.
Of course. And you're at a library, I believe, correct?
I'm in a phone booth at the library, not a podcast studio.
But you brought your mic, which is amazing. That's a good job.
I came prepared. I got done with an inspection and I was like, I'm going to go take advantage of my tax dollars at work and go to the public library. So here we are.
That's so you amazing. Walked into the public library with a Blue Yeti microphone
with my bazooka microphone in my hand.
So
I told them I had a job interview and I was like, I needed be in a space where I can talk because I've tried doing this at the library and I mean, it's a quiet space. So they quietly escorted me to the
acoustics are fantastic though. So good job.
We appreciate the effort, Marie, and I actually didn't even know libraries still existed, so that is also good to know. All right, we have an amazing show today. We are going to mix it up with a slightly different style because we are going to teach you exactly how to crush it for the second half of the year with rapid fire real estate marketing tips. 10, exactly how to crush the rest of 2025. Then we're going to give you some July content ideas, and then we're going to hit you with Marketer of the Week. If you like the sound of that and appreciate what we do on the show, make sure you throw this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Let's get this video to 100 likes. And Jason, stick around till after the first segment because I'm going to do a giveaway for a BAM Camp ticket.
Ooh,
so make sure you stick around.
Let's go.
Right there. Okay, rapid fire. This is how you crush the second half of 2025. I'm going to bring up a topic and then I'm going to hit the panel with a rapid fire response. The first topic, how to get more views on Instagram for the second half of 2025. Marie Lee from Tennessee, I'm going to kick it off with you. What are your thoughts?
I feel like the best content that's working right now is visualization content. Like content where you're showcasing what life is like in a certain area. It attracts a lot of hate from locals because you're, now broadcasting all of the great things that are happening in your area and people are like, hey, I'm done with all of the overdevelopment. But in the same way that it attracts haters, it attracts many more people who are interested in what that lifestyle looks like. And I don't know, ultimately followers, not just viewers. Like people want to see the behind the scenes. That's the kind of thing that they're looking for. They're not looking for easily Googleable things. like rates and stats. They're wanting to know what the lifestyle's like. So as long as you are showcasing that, even in B-roll or anything, I feel like that's the way to, with like some super hyper local hooks, that's dominating and crushing almost every video that I'm putting out.
Absolutely. We're going to show an example of that sort of hyper-local stat in the next segment. Ryan, how to get more views on Instagram? What are you doing on social right now to
Like,
pop off with engagement?
I feel like I'm always like pivoting into like just different types of content. Right now, I'm doing short educational pieces that have really good visuals. So I'm writing really good script, kind of memorizing it, maybe, a little bit of like having some B-roll. But I think the visuals are really key. And I think very quick, like 30, 40 seconds, like getting your points across. That's been really effective for me. And then just like sticking to kind of like what I consistently post about, which is like New York City, real estate, educational real estate, and then, comedy skits.
Love it. Yeah, the educational content. We've kind of gone back and forth on if they're effective. It's definitely more effective if it is 40 seconds or less. The quicker, the better. Jason, what about yourself? Getting more views on Instagram. What are you doing for the second half of 2025?
For sure. I think I'm going to try to incorporate a little bit more storytelling. Aside from just obviously having good content and putting out things that is like funny or whatever, I think that you can change a few different things. One is storytelling. So instead of like explaining what a 2-1 rate buy down is, right, the talking head thing, you would actually just like say, hey, I just had these clients. Their names are Mike and Christine. We did a 2-1 rate buy down. Let me show you exactly what their numbers were. And then you just like turn the camera and show like your laptop with the Zillow mortgage calculator, with the, a mortgage calculator, like that type of stuff is just a little tweak, but it's going to get a lot more scalability, views, likes, because instead of just telling someone what a 2-1 rate buy down is, you're showing them with a real world story, like a case study as to what that is. We've also talked about voyeur content a little bit on the show. I think that that's always good. Marie, I saw the little perk there. So instead of like, again, explaining what something is, you do kind of the hack where you have like a camera to the side and then you're like on the phone or you're driving in the car explaining it to someone else, but then the viewpoint of the person watching through Instagram thinks that they're listening in on you as opposed to you talking to them. And then that usually gets a lot better watch time, because it's like we like voyeur content. We're not supposed to be hearing what he's saying on the phone, so we want to listen in to see what he says, because you're capturing them in like a candid moment. Those tend to do pretty well. I mean, I need to take my own advice and do more of them, but the 3 or 4 that I've done like that have always performed really well over just like talking head straight to the cam. Let me explain what a balloon mortgage is.
I love the client example that you just gave, where you say, hey, I just had a showing with this buyer. This buyer just asked me this question about this specific neighborhood. So then it brings in the fact that you're actually active in the market. And it's way better than having a professional hook where it's like, here's what's happening in Playa Vista right now. It's like, no, I was just showing a buyer in Playa Vista. He asked me, why are homes, not selling as quickly in this area? And here's where I gave him the breakdown. I think that's a lot more effective. What I am doing for more views on Instagram is still continuously switching it up in between reels, carousels, and standard feed posts. I am getting so much more engagement still. I say this almost every episode, but on just screenshots of tweets, screenshots of an observation, that has been breaking up my feed content really well. And anytime that I see that the reels engagement is down, say I post 3 or 4 in a row that suck and are flopping, I like to then throw in an actual carousel post, or instead of creating a video out of it, I at least just put my thoughts into a tweet. And I've been seeing agents do a lot more of this, where they're just kind of tweeting out a market observation and then screenshotting it and then posting it to Instagram with some audio on it. I think that has been super effective. Okay. We know that the number one stat on Instagram, the number one thing that people care about now, is not comments, likes, or saves. It is shares. So, Ryan, in 2025, second half, how are you working on your content getting more shares, or what sort of content are you posting right now that is getting the most shares?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really like working with influencers. I've done a lot of viral videos that I've like kind of like piggybacked off other influencers that have a lot more followers than I do. I feel like I've been doing this for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, like really being active on Instagram. But like, I was maybe getting 1,000 to 2,000 views up until this year. And then I did a deal with Floyd Mayweather, and then he invited me out for his birthday extravaganza weekend in Miami, where he had a dinner. He owns a Versace mansion. He invited me out, and like I actually got him to like collab with me. And
Whoa.
from then on, like everything I post now, I'm getting like 25,000. Like that's my minimum. So I've really like doubled down on it, and I hired somebody to actually help me find influencers to like do videos with. And then it's like coming up with ideas and skits of like what I want to do with them. So it's just like not doing a video just to say, oh, I have somebody who, you know, has a lot more followers than I do. So I think like, you know, coming up with some sort of like storyline that makes sense. And also it's, you know, they don't want to do a collab just to do it. Like, I think it's like, they don't want to like have an advertisement in a product that they don't believe in. So you need to kind of bring some sort of value. I feel like my value is really being able to get them into, you know, beautiful luxury homes and having some sort of, you know, luxury tour or a skit. I have this one series that I do. It's called Comedians and Co-ops. So I try to collaborate with comedians and just do like home tours and just have them riff.
Like comedians in the car getting coffee, or realtors in the car trying not to crap themselves on the way from getting coffee. That could be an amazing series, right, Marie?
Coffee and contracts, you know?
Coffee and contracts, exactly. I love the idea of collabing with local influencers or accounts that have a following similar or larger than yours. Obviously, collaborating with local businesses has been a huge unlock for a lot of agents here in 2025. If there is someone in your area that has a big following, come to them with some sort of idea.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think the biggest collab that I've done so far this year is being on the walkthrough with Jason and the Broke Agent.
Oh, there we go.
And really,
that's how you collab right there. And Marie,
little schmoozing right there. Got to throw a little schmoozing in there.
Yes,
right?
Thank you. Marie, what about you? What are you doing to get more shares specifically?
I feel like that lifestyle content is generating shares, but I also feel like unpopular opinions, and I don't know, not in like the nuanced unpopular opinion content where it's like unpopular opinion, never date the rate, or marry the house, date the rate, you know, like really cliche stuff like that. I did a post on TikTok, which I never do things on TikTok, but I was on TikTok and I was talking about how the concept of backyards in America is pretty much going to it's going to completely vanish just with the new construction that we've got going on these days. Like the idea of having a traditional backyard is going to vanish because most these home builders are building, you know, multiple units on a lot, or they're trying to cram as many homes into a development as they can, at least like in the Nashville area, in these areas where there is a lot of new construction. And that thing blew up. It was just me walking with a bunch of B-roll text, or a bunch of B-roll and then text on the screen where I was just kind of giving my thoughts there. And people were going to town in the comments, but sharing it, I feel like, you know, is really generating a lot of conversation. And there were a lot of people who were agreeing and a lot of people who were, you know, disagreeing. But that's, in my opinion, the best kind of engagement.
Did you start the video with unpopular opinion as the hook?
Let me take a look. Let me pull it up. Come back.
Because that always is a great hook.
It's a good hook.
Yeah. Jason, what about you? More shareable content. Are you pulling a ALYSSA Kernut?
First of all, I'd like to go on record to say that you said it first this time.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
Because I was absolutely going to say that the best way to get shareable content so far is to ask for it. And the best person that does that is ALYSSA Kernut. Because the way she ends every single video is share this with a mom who would love that. Share this with a friend who would love that, right? And so like asking for the share in your call to action is probably the best way to increase shares. I think it works for her too because she's talking hyper local. So like, and her following is hyper local. So when she drops the new Chick-fil-A thing, you know, everybody locally is going to share that with their mom and brother and sister and all that type of stuff, as opposed to us saying, hey, check out my new listing, which isn't going to get shared, right? Or whatever it is that we do. Now, I've done some cool videos this year that get shared amongst like the real estate community. But if I'm trying to get shareability amongst like clients and local people, you have to give them something more broad than a real estate specific thing. Nobody's going to share your opinion on a 2-1 rate buy down, maybe, you know what I mean? But like if you can share the 3 new developments that are coming into San Diego, everybody in San Diego who's kind of somewhat interested will share that with the people who are in their sphere. So having hyper local content that is shareable and then asking for the share at the end, like share this with a friend, share this with someone who's thinking about buying, are probably the best way to increase shares, aside from just making better content, right? Because making better content is always going to be the cheat code to all of this.
Absolutely. So have one call to action, share this with a friend, and then make it specific to the demographic or specific to whatever it is you're talking about. Like you said, if people are interested in a new Topgolf, you say, share this with a friend who also enjoys playing golf. Shout out Alyssa Kernot. The number one way, Ryan, Marie, Jason, to get shares. Did you just wink, Jason?
No, I just did this right here.
Okay. I thought you winked when I said her name.
No.
The number one way to get shares by far is just news-based content. If you are breaking news in your hyper-local market, that's always what gets the most shares. So being that news source. Also, there was a stat recently, I think we talked about this last week, that said but consumers are turning to social media more than they are anything else right now for news. So they're scrolling for their news on Twitter or X or Instagram or TikTok. So if you are the one there that is sharing the news that they are now not getting on a blog or from a local news site, you're going to get more shares. So that is the ultimate hack for the rest of 2025.
Nice.
All right. Let's cut to ChatGPT real quick, because I'm always interested in how our guests are using it, if they're using it. Ryan, I'll start with you. Are you incorporating this all in your marketing, ChatGPT? And if so, how are you using it for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every email that I'm really writing, I'm putting through ChatGPT just to check for grammar. But as far as my like content goes, like I like to like have conversations with ChatGPT. Like what's really trending right now? Okay, how is that happening to my market? So like I really like to like dig in and ask like further questions. And then when I have a script down, I'll put it in ChatGPT. I'm like, what do you think of this script? Like, could you give me a better hook and 5 more like options for hooks? And so I kind of like take what the advice that they're giving me and then just kind of like really like make it work to a final version. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely like an everyday part of my business. Like I think I'm much more efficient. And my scripts, my emails are just so much more tighter. I honestly was like the worst when it came to grammar, so like that is totally not an issue anymore. But yeah, Chat GBT is a big factor in my business and definitely in my social media.
Mr. Cassity.
Yo. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I think we've talked about the custom GPTs and how we use it on our day-to-day. In the coaching stuff I do with Sell It, I have folders and projects customized for each of my coaching clients. So then I can put the transcript in from last week and then say, hey, based on their goals from their initial plan and all of our calls that we've had, let's summarize the 30-minute outline for today's call, right? Something like that. We put in, I use the deep research feature on Gemini a lot. Where it's like, hey, take a look at all the earnings calls, take a look at the financials, tell me about Compass, the Zillow Compass lawsuit, tell me about the NAR settlement. Like, what do I need to know? What am I missing here? Just to break down like bigger kind of thoughts and stuff like that. But on the day-to-day, I use our custom GPT for just about anything that you would go to Google for now. I took Google off of my home bar, actually. Like it used to have it down on the bottom, and because I just go to ChatGPT for everything at this point.
Damn, see ya, Google.
See ya.
I mean, yeah, I research way more on ChatGPT now also.
Mm-hmm.
Marie, what about you? Are you using this on a hourly basis like I am?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm mainly using it as my therapist, but, if we're going to be talking about some more specific details, thinking about 3 things. Number 1, if I'm getting ready to go into a listing appointment, I'm plugging this in and I'm asking who's the person that's going to be purchasing this home? Like, what is the demographic? What is the persona of buyer for this property? So that way, when I am going into a listing presentation, I can tell them, hey, this is probably who's going to be buying your home, and here's how we're going to market to that person, whether that's through video, through the copy that we're using in the listing description. I like to use that to help give me ideas. I normally have somewhat of an idea, but sometimes it'll give me like a specific age range that maybe I'm not thinking about, and then I can try to tailor marketing for that person. Two, I've been uploading my inspection reports in there. I've been asking it to create maintenance checklists for clients based off of what's in the report, for it to triage, what's the most important, what's the least important, and what's something I just need to keep an eye on. So taking something that's very long and then boiling it down essentially into a checklist to then give to clients. That way they feel a lot more empowered about what their inspector has found. And then three, oh gosh, I had an idea. Oh, I've just been using it to map all of my showings. So I will put all of my list or all of the listings that I'm going to go and view into chat. I'll ask it for the most efficient route. I want it to include 30-minute showing time slots. I want it to include travel time and maybe even a break or a lunch. I'm asking it to basically break down the whole schedule for me, and then it's rerouting everything. So if I'm not having to manually put everything into a map to then figure out what's the closest property, it's automatically doing it for me.
Great tips right there. And I'm sure the client won't show up 5 minutes late to that first showing, completely destroying your entire schedule and lunch and everything that ChatGPT constructed for you.
I mean, that's the name of the game, right? So
that's the name of the game, definitely. I can't imagine still. Imagine showing property before you had GPS on your phone. If you didn't have a little Garmin sticking out of your windshield and you're actually looking at a map or trying to memorize the directions.
MapQuest, you've got the MapQuest.
That sounds horrible. Ryan, were you selling real estate around that time?
No, I was a pizza delivery driver at that time. And I was literally the worst pizza delivery driver ever. I would like pull over on a payphone and I'd be like, hey, how do I get here? Make a right here, right there. I'm like writing on my hand. Like pizza delivery driver. If you think being a real estate agent was tough, that was a tough job before.
Yeah. But I imagine you did familiarize yourselves with the streets of New York doing that. So then when it came to real estate, you kind of knew all the twists and turns and how to get places.
That was my Florida life. So.
Oh, okay.
Way back.
Never mind. There we go. Okay, great tips there for ChatGPT. All right. Number one thing that we get not complaints about, but the agents have struggles about is how to stay consistent with content. We've covered this on a lot of episodes, but I always like to get different perspectives. Marie, I know you just hosted an event and you told me that one of the main things that people were talking about is how to stay consistent with your content. The back half of 2025, hopefully everybody listens to this and does this. So Marie, how to stay consistent with content this year?
I think if you can start developing a content library, that way you don't feel like you have to be showing up on the camera all the time. That's probably the hack. I would recommend you going through your photo album on your phone and creating a couple of different albums so that way you can easily pull content, a listings B-roll album, a behind the scenes or like transaction B-roll album. So if you have like inspectors or people that are on camera actually doing the work, some personal B-roll or like local lifestyle B-roll, I would say those are really the four main things that I'm going to routinely to pull content from. I do think that when you're solely using B-roll, it's very easy to be consistent, but sometimes your engagement can kind of suffer if you're only using B-roll. So, mixing that in with like a talking head reel, now you can go through and start working on some drafts of videos, some reels, carousel posts of content that you've already got, and you can just essentially use that to supplement what else you're doing.
Love that. Very, very simple but easy tactic there. Just name the albums on your phone so you could organize better. I have so many screenshots of stuff, Marie, that are, memes, potential videos, good potential articles for BAM that get lost because I have 10,000 screenshots and I'm not organizing my phone. So that's a great tip. Ryan, you're very consistent with your content, a lot of educational content, listing content. Do you have a plan for the second half, or how do you do it?
I think that's really the key with me. Is I also besides being a real estate agent, I also own a marketing agency, Very Social. And so what we do is we connect real estate agents with a social media manager. So my social media manager is like my right hand. We work together hand in hand, but we work off like an Excel document where we have like a 2-week calendar. So I have like all of my like Instagram posts, my TikTok, my Facebook, my emails. I also have the Garson team, which I think is one of the best team Instagram page. It's very different from my Very Social broker, where I think that's much more me and like I like test a lot of ideas, but the Garson team is much more like aesthetically pleasing. It also like links to my website. But we go off this document where we'll have like a plan 2 weeks in advance. But I think one of my favorite parts of this document is like I have my ideas, and I'm like an idea guy. I'm always coming up with new ideas, and sometimes they're great ideas, sometimes they're unrealistic ideas, and sometimes they just fail. So I think having somebody that I can collaborate with, and like honestly, I have a great like brain for social media, but I don't know how to do anything technical. Like I just can't. I like maybe post once or twice a year. Like I don't even do my own posting because I'll probably just mess it up. So I really work with my social media manager on just like coming up with the ideas. He films it, he edits it, he gives it to me. One thing is that I never overanalyze any of my videos. Having a lot of clients on the Very Social side, I feel like agents are so detail oriented and like they like to micromanage things. Like I kind of just take one look at it and I'm like, okay, fine. Like I really can't like look at my own content like multiple times, and I just like one and done. All right, this either, and sometimes I might just be like, this is not, let's just scrap it. That happens often. But I'm not one to like make like multiple edits, and I feel like if you're gonna be producing the kind of content that I'm producing, I'm like, let's just get it out there, and it's probably not going to be perfect. And usually it just I think being consistent is really important.
Yeah, there is a good lesson there. I mean, I would certainly, look at the content to see what is working, but in terms of done being better than perfect, for sure is a better way to stay consistent. So instead of overanalyzing every post that you do and waiting for the perfect post, definitely just getting more at bats. And
I mean, we're real estate agents at the end of the day here. We're not actors or professionals in that matter. So, and it's also, it's social media, it's just not going to be perfect. Like that perfect curated content actually doesn't do so well. So, I think just getting it out there is so important. I know so many people that just shelf so much content because they're just so overanalyzing everything.
Yeah. Another good way to stay consistent is you kind of marry your email with your content. So say you have 4 email buckets in your email, and it's hyper local events, it's a restaurant, it's your listings, and it's a market update. So say you have 4, and then maybe you have a personal story, and you send that once every 2 weeks, kind of like how Chris Smith was saying to do, once every 2 weeks or once a month. That could help you organize your content where you know that you're going to be plugging in your Instagram posts into those emails every 2 weeks. So you know that you have to get up one hyper local event, you have to get up some sort of restaurant or food or hyper local development. Maybe there's one news piece in there, your listings, and then a market update. And that could help map out your content, say 4 or 5 posts per week that you then put in your email. Jason, what about you? Coffee and contract? What?
I was going to say that episode last week, I immediately went in and restructured all of my newsletters. So thank you, Chris. Really appreciate that.
That episode should have 10,000 views.
That's one of the best ones we've ever done. It was so detailed.
Yes. We'll plug that in the description too. Go watch the email, how to do a hyperlocal email with Chris Smith. Jason, consistency Cassity. That's what they call you.
I thought you were just going to skip over me on this one because it's very clear that I don't do anything consistently. And so I'm the wrong person to ask. Aside from batching content, even then when I batch content, I get 8 videos back and then I post them all within a week. And then I go 4 weeks without posting. So don't listen to me. Let's just skip to the next question on that.
Let's skip to the next question. Okay. How to get leads on, what do we want to do? I'm going to give you guys options. How to get leads from social, 1 tip for collecting emails, the best way to come up with content ideas, or 1 thing to avoid. Which one, Marie?
Oh, Let's talk about collecting or getting leads, I guess.
Getting leads on social. Okay. That is actually the name of the game. So for the second half of 2025, Jason, I'll start with you. How
I'll
are
go
you
first.
getting leads from social or email?
Twofold. Yeah, social is the best to get leads from for cheap. Obviously, they're not the best leads because nobody's going on Facebook to go look for houses, right? It's just your ad is that good that it caught them. So the best way to do that would be like on Facebook or Instagram. You can create a post about a listing that you have, but then you pull out any disqualifying information. So you take away the address, you take away the price. So your post is going to say like not yet on Zillow or not yet on the market or just listed but not yet syndicated. Something like a little hook so they need to click that link to see it, right? So you're trying to create the FOMO there. And then it says central location, 2 parking with a pool and a low HOA. Click here for the additional photo. And you can give 3 or 4 photos of it. And you'll say, click here for the additional photos, the address and the price. And then you have a locked landing page there. And so they click that and they have to leave their contact information to see that. And then you boost that as a post or you run that as an ad through Facebook and Instagram. That's the easiest way to collect actual leads. It's going to cost somewhere between $5 to $20 per lead, depending on where you're running that. And then you'll be able to fill up the CRM. Now, obviously, it's all for naught if you don't call or email that person right away, because if you wait an hour or a day, by the time you get to them, they're long gone. They forgot who you are. They forgot about the house. But if you can catch them while you're still there on the site, there's a good chance that you can at least develop a rapport and find out what they're looking for. That is the easiest way to generate leads on social. You can also obviously have people refer you business, which is other agents, and you put out other content. Of course, I'm just talking about specific online leads.
Clip it right there. That's a clip. How to get leads. There's the intro. There's the hook. There's the clip right there.
Boom.
Marie, speed to lead is what we call that, Jason, by the way, once they're on the thing. Marie Lee from Tennessee, how are you getting leads? How are you getting email subscribers? Or how are you getting people to raise their hand? You're getting tons of engagement, but how do you make that connection from post?
So I've been using these coffee and contracts post ideas where it's essentially neighborhood spotlights. I've been crafting the hooks to try and speak to my ideal clients. So I know that my ideal clients are probably going to be families that are really interested in things like suburbs or school systems. So giving content that's centered around the idea like, hey, if school systems are the number one thing that I'm looking for when making the move to Nashville, then I need to be looking at XYZ location. If you're interested in seeing homes in these particular neighborhoods, comment this word below. They comment that, and then I follow up with a link that already has selected listings in that area. That link is coming directly from my MLS. I have gone through, selected these properties, and I'll say, hey, it looks like you're interested in these homes in this area. You can take a look at them here. I give them the link. Once I give them the link, the key to getting the actual lead or getting the actual email is to then follow back up and say, hey, would you be interested in receiving this list of, or a list of properties like this every single week? I promise no spam. And if they say yes, then I'll ask them, what's your best email? And then I just craft an auto search with that criteria in the MLS, plug that in, and then that just starts feeding out once a week to them. So they get those, those emails. I will do that with different types of searches. So like Nashville properties that have a suburb feel, or properties in a specific price point, or properties that have land. Like, I think this is something you can be consistent with. You can get a lot of different leads depending on what you're trying to do, but you can just rinse and repeat this with, a number of different hooks. You're just giving your intel on what it is that, I don't know, you're giving your perspective essentially on what these are. These are things that aren't easily Googleable. They are opinions, and you are just giving that source to them.
It just increases the hand raises so much. I feel like when you have something specific like that, where you say Nashville houses with a bunch of land, or Nashville houses with a suburban feel and a pool, then you're just calling such a specific demo that maybe you're not going to get a ton of hand raises, but you're at least getting a very specific amount. It's almost like the share this video with someone who likes golf. You're showing people, I'm talking to you right now. If you're one of these people, raise your hand, and then you do that whole DM exchange. By the way, that takes work. For everybody listening to this, Marie is fostering these leads in her DMs, following up with them multiple times, asking them, letting them know it's not, spam that she's going to be sending them. It takes a lot of work to do this. It's not like you just post something and a bunch of leads pop in your comments and they're all of a sudden listing with you. So that's great. Ryan, what about you? Anything, any like specific posts you're doing that are actually bringing in real leads?
Honestly, I feel like my Instagram is mostly brand awareness. Like I really don't get that many like cold leads, but the brand awareness is really strong. I've been a real estate agent for 10 years. I have a pretty decent following like on my Instagram, but I think it's the work that you actually put in, like what I'm doing. And again, it's not cold, but it's like, I think it's such a great way of being very social on Instagram. Like it's networking on Instagram. I'm actually spending the time and doing the work, like going down my in feed and I'm commenting on my, the different Instagram posts. And then I'm living on my stories and I'm like giving thumbs up emojis. I'm commenting if they're out at a restaurant. Yep. I'm like, oh, I love that place, or they're on vacation. Like I have so many conversations going on through DM, like probably, I mean, I'm a real estate agent. I don't know about my text. I have a lot going on in text too, but like, between text, email, and DMs, like I'm talking to more people on DM than I am on the phone, like I'm not making like cold calls to a client I haven't talked to in like 6 years, but I'm probably definitely making an effort of like following them right away on Instagram or Facebook, and then like keeping tabs if they're posting something or like reaching back out. Like I feel like that is more of like an authentic way to like connect and talk and chat with people that like aren't really like my friends, they're my clients, but I want to like stay connected. And if like, it's like, and it just kind of happens like reacting to what they're posting. So it's like, they're interested in whatever they posted, if it's their kid's birthday or, they're at a Knicks game, like, I love the New York Knicks, and I connect with people that are like kind of like friends of friends because we both have that mutual connection, and it's like, I think realtors like all have certain niches. And I think if they actually spent time and like, followed people in that niche and started conversations with what they feel comfortable talking about, like to me, that is a great networking tool that could like lead to business. So it's like Jason's putting, addresses or listings without addresses and trying to get like cold leads. He's like, yeah, buyers aren't going on Instagram to, look for houses. But I think like we're always looking to connect with people with our passions and our niche. And I feel like that is a great way to do that. And I do that. And like, I'm doing it at like 11 o'clock in bed, like it's just kind of, and I might get it might be entertaining for me because it's like, it's my interest anyways.
Yeah, I love that. The social side of social, which, Jason, whenever we do talks, we always mention that. That's a huge pillar of building your digital brand, is not posting, but responding to other people's posts and getting your name out there. It's just as effective.
That's the better way to do it. That's the better way to build the business for sure. Like even when we're doing online lead gen, like what I talked about initially and what Marie just kind of talked about, that should be a small portion of your business probably, you know what I mean? Unless you're, I don't know, like buying a ton of Zillow leads or something. But for the most part, like if you're getting social leads, that probably isn't going to be the cornerstone of your business. That's an additional, maybe for team leaders who need to supply their team with leads, it's 10 or 20% max. Like, so that, the building your business through content and then being social on social is still the lion's share of what you should be doing. There was one, based on circling back to what Marie said, actually, there was one tactic I picked up at the 1,000 Watt conference. I may have heard it from Jimmy Mackin before. Shout out to Jimmy. But a post that also works really well would be something along the lines of like, whatever the average sale price in your neighborhood is, if you create a post in a collection, Real Scout does this, your website probably does this, where you create a collection of homes just under the average sale price. And then you create the ad that says like, 7 homes under $750,000 in San Diego right now. The 7 hottest homes under whatever that average sale price is. That's usually a very clickable link when you're running it as an ad, because then people are seeing, oh, these hot homes are under the average sale price. I want to see those because they're looking, that's a good deal, so to speak. You can also then break that down, take the average sale price and then break that down into the monthly payment. And then you could run the same ad and say, the 7 hottest homes where your payment would be under $3,500 a month or something along those type of ads work really well because you're catering to people who are looking under the average for a deal, and you break it down into the monthly mortgage payment versus $750,000 sounds like a lot. $3,500 sounds more like in line, right? So if you can like paint that picture, those tend to do really well to get a lot of clicks.
Clip it.
Also, just real quick, something that I could do. So if it's like a thought provoking, like talking about like a new restaurant or traveling somewhere, the New York Knicks, sometimes I'll just take that comment and I'll copy and paste it and I'll put it in Chat GPT. And I'm like, could you give me a response to this comment and make it somewhat memorable? And then it'll just give me like a response to a comment and I'll put it back on there. So it's like a comment that's absolutely like that's memorable. That could be like a little bit more than a paragraph, and it literally took me like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, So it's like
ChatGPT for comments. I like it.
ChatGPT for comments. Respond to the comments.
And it's El Garbage time here at the Garden, and the Knicks want to talk it over. How about that little announcer voice right there?
Pretty good.
You like that, Jason?
Keep your day job though.
It's El Garbage time here at the Garden, and the Knicks want to talk about it. The Garden is where the Knicks play, Marie. All right.
Look,
that is 10 things. Well, 5 or 6. We gave so many things. 6. That is how you crush 6 things, how to crush the back half of 2025. Also, if you want to crush the back half of 2025, you have to stand out from the crowd, and Reminder Media is a resource you got to check out. You get your own branded print and digital magazines, email newsletters, and social media content. They deliver these resources to your contacts on autopilot, keeping you top of mind with your database. All you got to do is focus on your follow-up calls and watch repeat and referrals. Business come in. Okay. Local post ideas. I got to show these from Marie because we addressed this in the first segment. So, Haley, let's play one of these and then let's talk about why this worked. This is a hyper-local post about what's really happening in your hometown. If you were watching, you probably didn't catch that. But Marie, can you describe this post? It was all B-roll, and it's like what people think Nashville is like versus what it really is.
Yeah, so thinking, how can I convey what I really like and love about Nashville other than what people primarily think of when they think about Nashville? So they think about Nash Vegas, they think about Broadway, they think about honky tonkin' and drinking and country music and all the things. And that is like literally a street in Nashville. And then what most people think of when they think of Nashville, they think of some of the rolling hills, the farmland, some of the suburbs that are around here. And so just trying to showcase what that actually looks like. That video footage that I got that was in succession to the initial clip was video that I was getting on way to a listing appointment. I was like, hey, this is like really scenic and serene. So did that in Instagram, like the Instagram Edits app. I included 2 different audios to just showcase that contrast, which I didn't realize you could do that on Instagram now. You could add multiple songs. And just try to showcase 2 different contrasting lifestyles of what life used to or could look like, but what it really does look like.
Yes, I love that. And you could now move audio too, where it doesn't start at the beginning of the video. So huge update from Instagram. Just like you said, whether you do this in edits or on Instagram, you could start the song a little bit later on when before you had to have audio on the entire time. So that could help with the progression of a video. Maybe there's a big payoff coming at the end and then boom, you're playing. Give me a song.
Bodies.
Sure. Bodies.
Okay.
Perfect.
WAP.
Yeah. Or you're playing WAP. Exactly. All right. Topic number 3. 4th of July is coming up. We would be fools to not give you a few 4th of July content ideas. Marie Lee from Tennessee. What do you have coming up for the 4th? Any ideas?
Look, we got to kick it all the way back. The OGs will know that we need to bring back the Glizzy Guide. We're trying to update the 2025 Nashville Glizzy Guide. Where's the best hot dogs in the area? So I really don't do a whole lot of content around holidays, but that was the one thing that I have to contribute to this conversation.
Did that work?
No, I didn't. No, I mean, I got a photo of me in a hot dog costume, and that's it. But is that a good viable business plan? Probably not. So
yeah, the Glizzy Guide to New York. Hey, that'd be great for New York, Ryan. A bunch of Glizzy's a hot dog, by the way, for the people at home. A throat rocket, if you want to call it.
I had no idea.
Okay,
you didn't?
Never heard of that before.
Okay.
Really? Never heard of Glizzy's? The Glizzinator? No. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Jason, 4th of July content ideas. Are you going to be giving a guide to Glizzy's in San Diego?
Absolutely. I'm going to be doing a guide to all the best places to watch fireworks in San Diego, and then I'm going to run that as a reel. Absolutely. I am going to do it as a trial reel because it won't do very well on my page, but I think it can do really well on a hyper-local page. So yeah, just use ChatGPT, do something, create a little guide, 2-page guide of the 6 or 7 different spots around your city that do the best fireworks, and then you just create a little reel, maybe with some Americana music, right? Party in the USA or some Leonard Skinner or something. And then you just run the reel and say, DM me the word guide for the best fireworks spots. Or you do just a reel, 6-second clip reel of B-roll that say, that drop the list of the 6 best fireworks spots. Both of those would work really well.
Absolutely. Best places to watch the fireworks, 4th of July events. It is time to start posting those now, because if you're giving 4th of July fireworks spots on 4th of July, that's a fool's move.
It's too late.
A little too late. Ryan, are you doing anything post-wise for the 4th?
Jason is I'm doing the same thing with Jason. I think that's really the go-to, like where to watch the fireworks. And then I'm actually going to be like on a boat, like watching the fireworks. So I'll probably just be doing some Instagram stories. I'll probably do a reel after the fact, like showcasing my experience. But yeah, I always do a really good, like whenever there's a holiday, just like a happy Mother's Day, happy Father's Day. I'll do a July 4th email, but I think that's what I was going to be doing too, like where to watch the fireworks. And in New York City, I think that's like a big deal because it switches from like the Hudson River to the East River. So kind of knowing where to watch it makes a big difference.
Yeah, any sort of value you could give will be better than the Happy 4th or Happy Mother's Day post. Give them a little value up front. You mentioned the word experience, Jason. That reminds me of experience.com. And if you haven't heard of this, this is a platform that gives real estate agents a free profile that boosts your visibility on Google search and maps. We're talking 93% of users showing up on the first page of Google. From one dashboard, you can manage your entire online presence, and it is gamified. So if you want to show up higher, look better online, and actually control your digital reputation, hit the link below in the description. Final topic. And make sure you stay to the end because I am going to give away a Bandcamp ticket. Final topic. I have 2 marketers of the week. We're going to run through these really quickly. The first one, this is a carousel post. And I just thought it was a really clever Instagram carousel idea from an agent. Her name is Nat Sells Charlotte. The first pick is just her, and it's a swiper. She put the caption on, real estate advice I'd give if I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings. It's a picture of her. She made this on Instagram organically. It swipes to your first home, probably won't be your dream home. But anyway, it's not the final destination. It's your first step towards one that you've been dreaming about. Then it swipes again to overpricing your home, won't help you leave room to negotiate. It might just scare away your buyers. Swipes again. Those updates you did in 2008, not updates anymore. Point of the post is if you're watching this on YouTube, it's organic, right? All she did was create a carousel on Instagram. You could add these captions on Instagram. Starts with her. You want to show yourself as the hook, and then it just swipes to a bunch of photos of the house with these caption on. I thought it was a really good idea.
Good job.
Good job. Shout out her. Okay, next. Tampa Bray. Have we all heard of her? She had a BuzzFeed article written. She is doing the realtor Caitlin style of the sarcastic corpse on her listing photos. Let's play this one because these are getting millions and millions of views.
But she's a little bit more risque, isn't she?
I will. Let's take a look.
Pushing the envelope.
Carport is tall enough to fit your jacked up F-150, but not tall enough to fill the void of when your father left. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, $660,000. Shut the up. What do you want me to do? It's 2 minutes from Bayshore Boulevard. You're the one who overextended yourself on an F-150 payment. $950 a month? Imagine coming home to this after a long day of overcompensating. This is the perfect spot for your I don't haul anything, but I could apron. Does it get exhausting taking up 2 parking spots everywhere you go? This shower is big enough for you to cry in once you realize all your friends keep you around just in case they need to move. Oh, this would be a great spot for your cuck chair. Hey, did your truck come with a Gatorade bottle full of tobacco spit, or did you have to buy that separately? This house is only 3 minutes away from a mechanic. And the signal's great here. I already got you 3 new matches on Grindr.
So, Tampa Bray, she is going viral basically with every video. And I want to hear the audience's comments on this style of listing video. Clearly it's crushing. Clearly she's funny, right? Like these are very clever jokes. She kept the F-150 joke going the entire time. Marie, what are your thoughts on this? You seemed a little taken aback by it.
No, I think, anytime you push the envelope, it's definitely going to get eyes and views. I think that I'd be curious, like as an owner, the owner of the property, how do I feel about that? Sometimes I feel like it's always great to get your property out in front of people, but I'm just curious, what are these people signing up for? Do they know what they're signing up for? At this point, they probably do because she's been doing this so routinely. But, it's getting views. I'd be curious to know how this is relating and translating to business for her, just because, it is so viral. But kudos to Bree. She's everywhere. I've been seeing articles and I'll be scrolling through my feed and seeing people dissecting her videos. So she's really doing something at this point.
If you saw the house, if I recall, that's a flip. So
Yeah.
that's probably a developer client who probably doesn't care how she markets, right? In the sense of like, it's not someone's family home that they're.
Do we know if the house sold?
I don't know.
That's probably the most important thing.
It's the most
right?
important thing. I mean, Tampa's taking a little longer, but it's a nice looking flip. So who knows? But yeah, I think her goal is to get eyeballs on it, and she's successfully doing that. It is. I'd love to go back in time and see who did it first, right? I think that's probably Realtor Caitlin's style that she just kind of escalated. Because I think I remember her first video that popped afterwards. It was talking about like trimming the bushes and stuff. It was like very risque, and so I think that she went more viral, but it was Realtor Caitlin's style. Shout out, like R&D, baby, just rip off and duplicate. And so, yeah, if it's getting eyeballs, great. It works in this case because it's a flip. So the developer client probably doesn't care about it versus, me and someone in their family home that might rub the wrong way. But shout out to her. She gets the eyeballs.
I mean, she gets to go into her seller the next time and say, hey, look at this. This video got 15 million views. Look at this. Like, the average agent's going to throw your listing in the MLS and on Zillow and maybe get 500 views on a YouTube video. This is getting hundreds of thousands of views. So if that's working, that's fantastic.
It's
Shout
better
out her.
than we've talked about other, like shock jock value. Like there's those videos where like someone's just taking their clothes off or someone just like, you know what I mean? Like we know like that's not the right way to go. So like, obviously she's somewhere between the two. She's finding the gray area or pushing the line or whatever, pushing the envelope, but she's not quite into the straight disrespectful or like lewd shock jock value. She's still actually doing a walkthrough of the house and she's just making fun of the viewer versus making fun of the house. So it's still in the okay area for me, I think.
Honestly, exactly. I take a little offense to it because like I'm a content creator and I'm a real estate agent and like I work really hard to sell houses, to run a business, to run a team. And I run across this all the time in New York City because there are all these like real estate content creators that literally like pop up overnight and they're creating videos, they're getting a lot of views and like, yeah, it's awesome. It's entertainment value, but like they're not really selling real estate and they're definitely not selling it consistently. Like, I think they're just all about like, how could they get the viral videos? And there's a lot of like agents here in New York City that are like, we'll get into a home and they'll do a video tour and they'll have a really good voiceover, or like what Caitlin's doing and, doing something a little bit racy to get views. But I think it's entertaining, but it almost like makes like a real estate agent that's a content creator that's like, creating a content to like build my brand, like have a bad reputation. And it's almost like reality TV show versus like the real estate agent. Like there's that big debate, reality TV shows are, fictional and they're over the top. And, there's so many debates. Is reality TV giving the realtor like a bad reputation? Is that the reason for the lawsuit with NAR? Like I'm not like offended by what she does, but it's like she almost like pushes the boundaries for like us real estate agents that like really like work hard and have a good reputation, are respectable, are honest. And then we have somebody that's like kind of like pushing the boundaries. Like I'm for it because obviously anyone could do what they want to do. But I don't know if that's really like a longevity like type of business. Like Jason said, it looks like it's a flip of a developer client, but walking into like, a family of 5 and like talking about someone's home that they've raised their kids in like that, isn't going to fly. And like that's my business. I'm in a resale business. I'm working with real people that are families that are making big decisions. And, that kind of really like pushes the boundary. And like my brand, like I'm the very social broker. I do, really creative, listing videos and post it on social media, like something like that. If like I walk into a client and home and then they start talking about Caitlin and I start telling them what I do, it could be a little bit of an awkward conversation, not one I'm scared of, but I think it almost pushes back on like what social media is for real estate agents.
Well, we'll have to have Tampa Bree on the show, Jason. I would love to.
Brianna Beneskiski.
Yes.
Benesiski. I looked her
Brianna,
up.
I actually reached out to her because we have Bam Barbecue coming up and thought it'd be cool for her to do some sort of sarcastic video along those lines for a cutaway video. I am for people pushing the envelope when it comes to content. Obviously, I would be an insane hypocrite to say otherwise, considering I started The Broke Agent. My entire brand was based off of humor. So I think that if it is resulting in real estate business, which I'm sure it is at this point, because you're going to have a lot of clients that want that style of video for their house. There will be some clients that will be completely turned off by it, of course, but you're going to have a lot of people saying, hey, this is going to get me 1 million views and exposure. I don't care if they're talking shit about the house or the demo of the people that might buy it, if it's getting in front of the right people. So, it's that line where we're trying to kind of figure out, is this actually resulting in selling real estate? I bet it is, but we'll have to hear from her at some point. She'd be fun. It was fun to hear from Realtor Caitlin.
Caitlin, come on the show, Bree.
Come on the show, Bree, and check your DMs for Bam Barbecue. Next event, in person, Bam Camp, September 24th in Scottsdale. I'm giving away 1 free ticket right now. If you've made it to the show this far, all you got to do is like this video and then leave the comment Bam Camp. If you leave the comment Bam Camp, we're going to pick a winner in the next 2 weeks based off of all the people that have liked this video and left the comment Bam Camp. That's a wrap on the walkthrough. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Ryan Garson at The Very Social Broker, Marie Lee from Tennessee at Move Me to Tennessee, Jason Cassity at Jason Cassity. We'll see you next week on The Walk.